Yeah. Siege. Riley. Taz. Yeah. Set me free and give me death, there ain't no other choices. When I lay down and go to sleep, I keep on hearing voices. Little whispers in my head, man, is you fake or loyal? Rhino water, death is sign of baby, pick your poison. These little demons living underneath my bed, creeping. Know the real monster lives above them all, sleeping. That subtle breathing in your closet every single evening. Thought you never see me again, looks can be deceiving. When they hear the sound of the drum, they'll be saying, oh Lord, here they come. Yeah, here we come.
We take play seriously. That's why ATK chooses Omen by HP and Windows 10.
Here we come.
Action, the ATK Overwatch tournament, and today we've got some Challenger Division action, and it's actually a very important game today. Lots of stakes on the line, lots of things on the line, and some future implications should be solved this evening. But before we jump into any of that, of course, my name is Sun Phoenix, and I'm joined not by Altruism for the first time in 2 weeks. Instead, I'm joined by Old Faithful Naori Mizuki. Welcome back.
Hey, it's me. Glad to be here. What did I used to call her? Sunzuki? There it is.
Sanzuki, yeah, I think so.
Sunzuki, hell yeah. And as you said, some crazy stakes on the line here for these teams. We are nearing the end of the Challenger Division, so of course, this is where we start looking out for who's going to be in that top 3 contention to possibly make it on up into the Elite Division.
Exactly. So just to run you guys through some permutations here, nothing sexier than permutations, as we know. So the top 3 of Challenger Division, or rather the top 2, do get a straight-on promotion to the Elite Division. So that's where you want to be. Currently sitting in those 2 slots are TSG Team List, who are undefeated in first position, and Vanguard, who have only been defeated by TSG Team List. Both of them, I believe, have 1 game to play this week. In third place, though, is where we found ourselves today. Neon Retribution, now Overtime. They have rebranded since they left the Rage Quit organization. Overtime and 2xs Esports. Currently, 2x is sitting comfortable in that third position, but they have to beat Overtime today to actually secure themselves that third place spot. And in fact, they can still lose and secure it because Overtime's got quite a bit of map differential. So the permutation is if Overtime beats 2xs 3-0, they will secure that third place spot. Now, what does that third place spot mean? And if 2xs, gets any other result, then they'll go through. So Overtime is the one with all the work to do here today. What does that mean? Third place faces 6th place of the Elite Division. It sounds complicated. I promise when you look at it, it's very straightforward. But the winner of that match, that playoffs match, which will be happening on Sunday, will secure themselves a spot in the Elite Division. So everything to play here for this is our first step towards figuring out who our promoted teams will be. A lot to break down there, Naori. I hope you were keeping up.
You know what? You expect a lot from me. The one thing that did stick out in my head that kind of has been running around in circles is nothing sexier than permutations. Like I said,
I love
kink,
everybody loves permutations. Permutations
weird
are good.
kink, but okay.
I love kink shaming.
As you mentioned, Overtime need a clean sweep, a swift 3-0 in order to secure that playoff spot. And that's going to be a bit of a tough ask for them, considering they've only won 50% of their matches so far. But that does mean they've won 50% of their matches. So there is definitely an opportunity here to try and turn this one around. 2XS looking pretty good for the moment, with some 4 wins, in fact, in their bag for this Challenger Division. So looking pretty good here to potentially take that as well. Going to be difficult to try and call which way it might go. But before we start making, any kind of assumptions, maybe we should take a look at who's going to be playing on these teams this evening. Might give us a little bit of an idea of what we can be expecting. So over on 2XS, we can already see we got this evening the lineup going to be Paleo, Dankiel, Little Clumsy. What is that? Go outside?
Go outside, yeah.
Bruh, it's lockdown. Come on.
So many vowels in a row. You're in Poland, maybe you can pass that a bit better. Go outside.
Fun fact, I actually can go outside. Lockdown is over for
Wow,
us.
first
Sucks
world,
to be
eh? Look
third
at that.
world.
Yeah.
Anyways, and just to round out that roster, we got Peach ZA, a favorite in the Overwatch community, one of our tried and tried and tested producers, and an absolute cutie, if I do say so myself. And then, of course, Cubic for that last little support slot.
hmm So the exact same squad we would have seen in their match against Calypso, which we saw Wednesday or Thursday rather last week. Little Clumsy actually taking our man of the match, so a guy to keep out for in this game today. But looking over at the overtime squad, we've got a very familiar lineup. This is one of those teams that tend to shake their lineup just a tiny bit between maps, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that. But to start off, we've got Shito, Verbal Zero here, not Bubbles starting, Kit Kat, Soul Eater, Mispo, and Mo Sam. So for the most part, a familiar lineup if you're at all familiar with the Rage Quit Neon Retribution squad. Running, it's quite a familiar lineup. So now I have a little bit of behind the scenes spice here, and maybe I shouldn't share, but I'm going to. It's not actually spice, but I have spoken to Peach, obviously, as you'd expect, and he's feeling pretty confident coming into this one. He says they've scrimmed Neon a couple of times, and they always seem to come out on top. So he's
So they've
feeling
scrimmed
pretty good
who?
about the team that they scrimmed when this team was Neon. They scrimmed them a lot. So I don't think the name change is gonna make them play that much better. But who knows? Maybe that's just the kick up the butt they needed. But when they were scrimming Neon, 2XS was coming out ahead in those scrims. So they're feeling quite confident. But of course, as we know, Nori, scrim bucks, you can't always cash those in official matches.
Yeah, no, scrimbucks do not count for a heck of a lot. Bearing in mind, of course, that the whole point of scrims is to try out some new funky compositions that might not be expected, see if it works, see if it doesn't, and try and figure out some nice strategies that you can utilize for these official matches where it actually starts to matter. And of course, as we mentioned, the stakes tonight quite high for both of these teams, so it really does matter. They're going to need to try and utilize all that information from those last couple of scrims. Try and smush that into their heads, find a way to make something work. And of course, the flip side of scrimming is, of course, if you're on the losing side, you have the opportunity to really start to examine where you've made those mistakes. So this could be potentially a turnaround for overtime. Maybe they lost those scrims as Neon, but they've done a little bit of research, they've done their homework, and maybe this is where they turn it around as overtime and bring this into a more favorable position for themselves.
Yeah, and both these teams have dedicated coaches, as I understand it. Well, as dedicated as you can be when you're playing on another team. So 2X is coached by an individual called Cerulean Wolf. Don't know who that is. I think it might be an international person. So dedicated coaching for them. And of course, overtime is coached by Phoenix Gears. So quite, they do have the tools to be able to respond to any losses and learn from their mistakes. But now it looks like our first map is going to be Lijiang Tower, I believe. So, yeah, what do you think about this map?
Well, as always, we're going to start off with one of those control maps. And as I always mention, control, one of those really fun little beasts in its own little world, because you can rely so much more on individual skill as opposed to really coordinated team play. So you'll often see in a 3-1 scoreline, the score that 1 point generally kind of tends to come from a control map. So sometimes we do see those kind of weird, wonky score lines just because control is so strange. We're going to be starting things off here, and well, this is one of them really dive-heavy maps. I'm kind of expecting to see something a little bit along those lines. Possibly going to roll Winston. Those are point here. We might even see that Diva come out as well for a little bit of extra protection. It looks like the players are still loading in, so they're just kind of memeing about here. But I'm fully expecting that dive and possibly the Pharaoh or the Echo. I find that Echo also has some fantastic sky control, and of course with no hero bans in play any longer, while Echo is not playable in the Overwatch League, you can bet you're behind. We might be seeing a little bit of her in the local league.
Oh, okay, yeah. So Mispo was just struggling to load in there. So hopefully that won't affect the rest of this match. But yeah, I think a lot of people are quite happy that the hero pools isn't a thing anymore. So we'll have to see how that affects things today. But in general, the level of play tends to go up when we open up the pool to or allow teams to play whatever heroes they want. So looking at the roster, or at least the compositions coming out from the two teams, we do see both teams choosing to run that Zarya. Interesting to see 2XS running both teams running the Rhine. Interesting to see running the Zarya. They've been actually defaulting to a Reinhardt Winston composition, which is quite unusual. Peach swears by it because it fits the playstyle of his players a lot better, but it's interesting to see nonetheless. Otherwise, Little Kamzi on the May guard side, on the McCree, looks like he's going to switch it up. Supports or supports. On the other side, matching them with the Reinhardt, but running the Diva and the Symmetra here. May going to be on both teams, Mispo on the Moira. So let's see how this first team fight unfolds here as the teams get on point. So it looks like Neon, or the team formerly known as Neon, actually getting on the point nice and early here. 2XS gonna have to find a way to move through that. Maywall gonna cut the Reinhardt off from the rest of his team and get taken down. Damage for both sides, and Shaito's gonna be the one that drops first. Cubic rather, taking the first head here, but immediately both teams using their main tanks as Paleo goes down as well. Verbal Zero gonna get that pick onto Dankill. Neither team though with that advantage, although with that pick onto Cubic, some Lucio on Lucio action there is gonna secure Neon, or the team formerly known as Neon. Wow, this is gonna be hard. The first team fight victory.
Overtime with a knight. They in fact used teleporter to get early control of the point, setting up those to ensure that they had early point control. Really well played there. Now we can see 2XS swapping over onto that Winston you mentioned a little bit earlier on. The Zarya not working out. Gonna go for something a little bit meatier with a potential dive. I mean, splitting up the attention of the enemy team, but they need to be careful because those turrets can be quite deadly.
Yeah, moving in very quickly. That's a huge shadow though. Paleo finds pretty much everyone in spite of the Symmetra ulti going down, but only finds one kill. Then Blizzard is going to come out now from Little Kamzi. They do find a couple of picks and go outside on the flank with the Deadeye. Is going to find another. Kills going both directions though. Verbal Zero going to get rid of that pesky McCree, but I think the numbers advantage clearly in favor of 2XS here as they look to secure themselves their first team fight win of the match today. Cubic gonna get rid of that pesky Diva with the punch and picks up another in the form of Mispo's Moira. So looking pretty good, but this is a lot of what we saw against Calypso. Calypso struggling to deal with the trickle back in and not cleaning up the fights quickly enough. It looks like more of the same. That is a shatter. Doesn't find anything though. Shaito gonna have to think about how he approaches the next team fight, but a nice sound barrier. But they forced a lot of ultis out of 2XS here, and they haven't even capped the point yet. 73% on the clock. All that time, all those ultimates expended, and only now the point will flip.
Really trying to live up to their new name here and cause that time to continue to tick as far as possible. Getting all the way up to 78%, a fantastic stall, but as you said, a lot of ultimates used here on both sides. Now there is a self-destruct available for Verbal Zero, and that could be great for initiation to get onto that point early, possibly get off a pick or two to try and get onto point, but they are going to use the Symmetric turret to get them on early. Gonna net them some deaths though.
Yeah, unfortunately. So it looks like it's going to be a pretty easy team fight win. Fight not really ever getting started here for overtime, and 2XS going to start taking that time up a little bit more.
Definitely questionable teleport there to try and get onto point. It was literally in the middle of 2XS, and as they took the teleporter, they just got systematically destroyed. Glad to see KitKat swapping off of that Symmetra onto the Reaper. He's going to be trying to deal with this double main tank shenanigans, but it is going to be difficult for him because he is going to have to contend with the Mei and the McCree, who incidentally both have ultimate as well. 2XS looking absolutely stacked here on this defense. Overtime going to be trying to possibly initiate with the Blizzard. Hopefully that doesn't get negated, and they'll be able to use that as an entry.
Let's see here. No Diva on the side of 2XS, so nothing to worry about. Okay, there it goes. Little Clumsy committing his. Blizzard goes the other way, but it's 2XS picking up the kills here early on as Little Clumsy finds himself a double. Can they follow up here on the side of 2XS to clean up the team fight efficiently? And it looks like they can as the percentage points start to even up now. And yeah, overtime gonna have to back out here as not a lot of time left for them to come in, Sam.
3 ultimates utilized by 2XS there, but it was worth because, as you said, time is ticking away. 92%, and they still have the sound barrier and the earth shatter available to them. It's going to be a difficult one here for overtime to try and push.
Oh yeah, that's a bad start though. Losing your main healer like that. Cubic coming in clutch there with the environmental kill. Paleo finds another follow-up and a big shadow goes down. Can they find any kills? He finds one, but he's anti-healed up. Shaito gonna hit the deck here. That Diva Bomb doesn't find anything. The self-destruct not hitting pay dirt here, and they need something big if they're gonna pull this team fight back on the side of overtime. That's not big. That's pretty bad. Go outside, finding the pick onto Mo Sama, and can they find anything more? It's just Mispo left on the point. The Doomfist does come back in, and now the kills are coming in for 2XS, but the respawns quickly coming back in as well. Can they find the kills? No. 2XS is doing a great job of dealing with the trickle, and they're going to secure themselves the first point on Lijiang.
Very solid defense there from 2XS. They weren't too concerned about losing that first fight and getting that percentage ticked over all the way to 78 for overtime. They were confident in their ability to turn that one around. The swap up from the Zarya, as you mentioned, it is interesting composition running this Reinhardt Winston, but it does indeed suit their playstyle, the way that they split up the enemy team. The Winston diving into the backline to create that distraction, similarly to what a Diva might do, but of course a little bit more chunky. And then you've got the Reinhardt to be a little bit more stable and on the point and provide that static presence, and of course providing a shield for the McCree that they were running at that point. Now, however, they're running a very strange composition because it's basically dive, but with a Reinhardt. It's very strange. There's not too much backline peel here. I'm not too sure how it's going to work
special. This is 2XS special, Sam. This is their roster that they run. Little clumsy on that Genji. We saw him do wonders on this map. That's a bad start though. Cubic gonna hit the deck there, courtesy of Kit Kat's Symmetra. So good start for overtime here, as they are running a double shield composition and they are set up nicely on point. But that kill was so early that Cubic might actually be able to get back in here for the next team fight, the first team fight. But no, 2XS gonna just back out. I like that. Good disciplined, patient play from them. Rather get the full 6 back up before they aggress into the next team fight.
And they're getting ready for another one. You can even see go outside, getting ready to flank around the right-hand side. You can see join with Dang from 2 fronts, and immediately they start to set.
That wall was really good at cutting off the Rhino. That's a huge anti-heal. Peach coming in clutch for 2XS, and the Winston damage. Little clumsy jumping on through. That is the kind of synergy we haven't seen in a long time from the Challenger division.
That was so well played. I kind of spoke about how we had the Winston and the Tracer coming in around the back, creating a sandwich, and of course that divides the attention of the team. And as you mentioned, a fantastic anti-heal coming through there to create a huge opportunity to take advantage. A nice early point swapping, not waiting for 78% this time. We're going to see the nano boost on the Reinhardt, but blocked by that wall.
The teleporter straight onto point. Everyone's on point, and they flip the point. Now 2XS on the back foot. Paleo gonna drop first. They committed the nano boost on the front line, but to no avail. Oh no, Reinhardt, stay on the map. No, goodbye, friend. We'll miss you, 2XS. Bring this one back. Another big anti-heal from Peach might be exactly what they need. A celebration ultimate from Little Clumsy. You've got to feel like that blade. A little bit unnecessary, but you've got to feel like 2XS have to feel happy about how that fight unfolded after the start they had.
Yeah, that blade was definitely a little bit of overkill there. Some fireworks that were unnecessary, but not too worried. However, they do need to be weary. Overtime going to be coming in here with the supercharger as well as the blizzard. If you can combo those two together, you can create so much damage. Oh, but Kit Kat goes down early.
She pops the she popped the teleporter down, but went down straight away. Now they're on the point though. Sound barrier committed for both teams. Blizzard as well on the point here, so fireworks in both directions. But it's Shaito who picks up Paleo, who commits the ultimate to try and deal with Cubic, but he doesn't find him there. A shatter down the drain, but he's gonna swing away here. But Paleo once again, Dankel rather, builds up another ultimate. This Primal Raging Winston has been such a nuisance for the overtime squad to deal with, and he's just swinging away on the point. Not going to be dealt with anytime soon, and this is a good call from overtime. They see the fight is lost, and they're going to back out and make sure they've got enough time to come back in for their last fight.
We see Kit Kat having swapped over onto that Reaper again, but didn't do too much for them in the last round. We see Verbal Zero also swapping over onto the Zarya here. Not a lot of time to try and build up that Graviton Surge, but hopefully can help deal out some damage, keep his team alive. And this is last fight territory.
Interesting choice. We've seen this before. They nano boost the Reinhardt and they use the blade at the same time, and the Nebu's kind of buys space for the blade. It's a very strange thing, but Peach again swears by it, and what you can't argue with is the results that it brings. That was a very clean map win for 2xs Esports, and unfortunately that means overtime cannot qualify for the elite division. So now we're just playing for pride here.
Pretty much. It's a little unfortunate there, but you know what? There is still time for them to turn it around and possibly snag that win. It won't get them into the playoffs, but as you said, we are playing for pride and bragging rights. So we'll give them an opportunity to try and turn this one around. This was a really fantastic display from 2xs, and again, you know, that main tank composition I kind of spoke about a little bit earlier on, but I'm really impressed with how they've been playing, utilizing it in such a way to consistently different of the enemy team, make sure that they don't really know where they need to be looking, and always committing that nano boost onto that Reinhardt, making sure he's got tons of power. And I mean, just that in itself, you see a Reinhardt charging towards you, you might want to change direction, and as soon as you do that, you're probably running into the Winston. So they're doing a really great job of corralling the teams that they play against into unfavorable positions, and unfortunately for their opponents, but fortunately for them themselves, the opponents haven't yet figured out a way to counter that. So we're going to be moving over onto our second map, and I do believe it's going to be a hybrid map. So we're going to be looking at either Blizzard World, Hollywood, or Numbani. And correct me if I'm wrong, Hollywood seems to be the pick of choice recently.
And it is the pick here once again, overtime, of course, with the map pick. And Shaito makes the call. It will be Hollywood, a very popular map in South Africa, as you alluded to. And we've seen in recent times, we haven't seen much of Hollywood. I'm not even convinced there is a second and third point to this map, because every time we've seen this map recently, it's been a full hold. So we're going to have to see if these teams can make a little bit more of a meal of it. We'll have to wait and see who's on attack. And we do have some substitutes here as well. To it a little bit earlier, but Verbal Zero will be swapping out for Bubbles, and Soul Eater will swap for Ugly Boy Adam, and Mispo will swap for Anti-Raver, all on the side of overtime. So this is something we have seen out of the squad quite a lot. It's something I never like to see personally. I like to get a main six nailed down, and this is a criticism I had of Layden earlier in the season quite a lot. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it works out for them, and you've got to trust in their coaches and trust in the method and assume they think this is what works best for them.
That's, as you said, swapping out almost 50% of that team. We see Mispo is actually not going to be subbed in. In fact, they're going to be keeping Anti-Raver. But again, I mean, you're swapping out a very large portion of your team. Now, if you're swapping in one person, you know, like you're playing a particular map, you know that a specific player on your team plays a particular hero on this map, like an absolute god. You know, we're expecting Defran, Zarya, Graviton surges over the arch on Hollywood, kind of spectacular really vibes.
Yeah.
You know, then 100% you make that swap off. But as you said, swapping in 2 to 3 people, it really does kind of mess with your team's gel and synergy, particularly if you're not getting the full 6-man practice that you'd like to be having. But again, you know, there's probably a reason that they've done this, and looking forward to seeing what going to be. Teams are just getting ready for the moment. And again, Hollywood is another map that, particularly on that first point, we tend to see a little bit of that dive composition with the Pharah or the Echo, and that was something I mentioned a little earlier on Lijiang as well. But seeing as we didn't see it there, I think it's somewhat unlikely that we'll see it this time around. We might be seeing these teams trying to stick with something a little bit more conventional in the Reaper, May, McCree, some variation of those DPS. And then we did see the Reinhardt Winston for 2xs, so very likely that they're going to be running out on that as well. Over time, we did see a little bit of that Rhine Diva most of all, and then we saw the swap off onto the Zarya. So also expecting some full-on brawl compositions here. Hope I'm wrong. I do enjoy myself a little bit of dive from time to time, particularly when there are such fantastic high grounds to abuse on Hollywood. The force rotations that you can make, especially on attack, if you can go around the corners, if potentially you go around the left side, up the stairs and around towards point, or if you go around the right side towards second point, all the way around those big metallic doors, up on the high ground, down onto the... I mean, there's so many great ways that you can force the enemy team to rotate in an unfavorable way, particularly if you're running that dive composition. So kind of hoping for that, but again, expecting those more brawl-heavy compositions.
Yeah, absolutely. Something to mention as well, going back to the discussion on switching players out, it's something that makes a lot of sense in Overwatch League, where you can spend your whole day practicing and scrimming with your team. But unfortunately, at this level, where people have to work for money to like live and stuff, it's a lot more difficult to build a synergy between an
like?
8 or 9 man. Yeah, well, sorry, some of us are normies and we have to
Imagine
like,
being
work and
essential.
stuff. Yeah, gosh. Imagine. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say something, but I've decided against it. So yeah, something also to be aware of when, at least to kind of couch that criticism. But looking at the squads here now, again, we see them starting on the Zarya here for 2xs on the defense. Running the Reaper May, as you suggested, they might not choosing to go for that dive defense as we've seen them do before. On the other side, a very similar composition. The only difference is actually for overtime being Ugly Boy Adam on that Doomfist and Mispo on that Coalescence Moira hero against Peach's armor.
I think the Moira will definitely add a ton of extra healing that might be exactly what they need, and they're going for a very strong aggressive push here, using that Lucio speed boost to get onto point, but now they're kind of stalling out a little bit, Sun.
Yeah, they are. Neither team able to get aggressive, and of course that favors the defending team here. But it's also good to see the discipline play. They're waiting for something, and here it comes. Doomfist going in aggressive here. Ugly Boy Adam looking for that pick, but a nice cryo freeze from the May will keep him alive. Cubic though finds the first pick. Shaita once again, an early death that charged straight through onto Bubbles. Zarya gonna get rid of him, and it looks like 2xs gonna get the better of this team fight here. It's just Mispo left on point, and she's not gonna be there for very long. Cubic finds another kill. He's been a stand-up performer so far this match, Nori, but it looks like 2xs gonna hold firm here.
Yeah, they're very strong hold there, and I kind of like, my heart goes out to Bubbles when you get charged by a Reinhardt from the fourth dimension.
Yeah.
You didn't even know he was there, and next thing he's on you and you're dead. A little unfortunate there, but now we are going to see Ugly Boy Adam swapping over onto that Pharah that I was hoping to see. And again, this is a fantastic map for it, a ton of spam damage, and hopefully they can make something happen with the display.
Well, there you go. That's a good start. Ugly Boy finds the opening pick, finds a second here. All of a sudden, it's an explosion of kills for the overtime squad. Can they clean things up? That's been a problem for this challenge, these challenger division teams against 2xs, and it looks so far so good. Just 2 left on the point here for 2xs. It's overtime, stamping their authority as Chaito swings on through. It's just Cubic left, and if you don't kill him, you're not going to have a point. He's still messing about, but KitKat will get rid of him with a headshot from the Reaper shotguns, and it looks like finally we're going to see a team take this first point on Hollywood.
That's the thing, the attackers have such a strong advantage. Ugly Boy Adam just makes that quick little swap off onto the Pharah and starts annihilating. Whereas the supports for 2xs swap over onto something that can handle that spam better. You don't have time to do it. So unfortunately weren't able to keep up with the damage, and Ugly Boy Adam is already basically sitting on a barrage, looking poised for this next fight.
Oh, ultimate's going both ways though. Dankil finds a triple with that Zarya LT. They don't feel comfortable on that hero, but I mean, you wouldn't say it looking at that team fight. A lot of ults committed for both teams though.
I mean, well, that was what, 3 ultimates for 2xs, or rather for yes, for 2xs. I mean, that, you know what, that's not terrible. On the other hand, overtime did use, I think, the Earth Shatter. Now we've got Mercy gonna have that Valkyrie very soon, which means that's 5 ultimates online here for overtime, and that is a lot for them to play with.
Haley trying to go for a sneaky shatter. Oh, but that's a Graviton Surge coming straight through. He doesn't find the shatter in return, and that ultimate's going to pick up a lot. They committed both DPS ultis into the Graviton Surge, so that's something to be concerned about going forward. But they're going to be happy overtime here to get some motion on the card. Some switch-ups coming out of 2xs here. You see Clumsy on that Soldier, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's what you call a big ol' miscommunication. We are here failure to communicate. And yes, both DPS ultimates thrown into that Graviton Surge. Oh, and now we're going to throw in the Coalescence as well, just for good measure. And the
Might as well chuck everything in there. Paleo charges in, the counter charge comes through, and he gets taken down. 2x's on the back foot here. Overtime looking so much better on this map than they did on Control. Hollywood seemed to be a much more comfortable fit for the squad formerly known as Neon Retribution, as they make even more of a charge towards the second point capture.
Overtime just absolutely annihilating right now. Very impressive displays. But again, they threw 5 ultimates in the last 2 fights. They have absolutely nothing left to. They've got no meat on their bones for the next one. Look, Kamzi is sitting on tactical visor, and Go Outside, who's just died, has my noon ready as well. So a lot of ultimates available.
Shadow comes down onto Dankhill here, but he doesn't end up going down. Go Outside gonna find the return with the Deadeye. Can they find anything more? Clumsy gonna commit his ultimate here as well. The tactical visor pushing Overtime back towards their spawn, and they're just gonna let Shaito come back in. They're quite low on ultis though, nowhere it has to be said.
Wow, that's a lot of
I don't know if that was just lagging for me or if it's for
in that last fight, but it might well be worth it. Part is slowly making its way. Oh, my ping is.
We can tell. let me handle it from here on until it gets sorted out. Overtime managing to clean things up here and move on forward again. Not stopped at all by 2x's. Struggling 2x's are to actually stymie this momentum there, but actually finds Dankill, gets anti-healed, but will use the Wraith form to stay alive. Go Outside has switched on to the Widowmaker here and finds immediate pay dirt by taking down Mosama on the... Oh, sorry, ultimate coming out here. Lil Kamzi on the Ash, getting aggressive to the point. He gets the Nano as well to keep him alive, and Cubic coming out with the Baptiste, actually picking off 2, and that might be enough to secure 2x's a rather unlikely teamfight victory here. He finds a third in the form of Bubbles. Can he clean up for the fourth? No. Paleo gonna steal that one as Mispo hits the deck, and unfortunately, after a great start, the team formerly known as Neon Retribution are gonna have to think about how they approach this next team fight. Switch ups here though. Kit now onto the McCree, so not feeling like the Reaper's going to get the value they want. Doomfist as well coming out for Ugly Boy Adam. We saw him use that to great effect on the first point. On the side, still Go says, oh, needs to be careful here. Paleo getting aggressive on the point. Shaito doing the same here. Ryan on Ryan action. Can they get anything done? Overtime with a little bit of time left in the bank here, so they're going to want to cap as soon as possible. Won't be getting under that magical minute mark, but still, they need to get the point. Aggressive move from Ugly Boy Adam into the backhand here. Paleo gonna hit the deck. Oh, a big shadow comes out of Shadow. Finds so many. The punch coming through. No kills just yet, though. Not sure how that's possible. I think the lamp must have just come in time. Go Outside. Gonna get the return onto Ugly Boy Adam, but one team is missing a main tank, and that makes it so much harder for them to fight in here. But kills going in both directions. Spawn advantage obviously gonna be favoring 2x's here, but if they lose too many, they won't be able to come back in time. Paleo charging in. He gets counter charge. Good work from Shaito there. Gonna keep his team healthy as every good main tank should. Oh, just barely touching. 3 on the cart now. Make that 4 for 2x's. Make that 2 as Ugly Boy Adam and the other DPS come in to get that kill. Oh, Go Outside. Gonna blink on into the Zarya ulti there. Bubbles gonna secure them a team fight victory as Overtime finally get themselves to the end of Hollywood. Now worry, have you returned?
I am alive and kicking. At least for now.
You sound much better.
Yes,
you sound like a human and not a robot.
You know what? I was just was getting in touch with my inner Bastion. You know, we all have to do that from time to time. Beep, boop, beep. But
Beep,
we're
boop,
back
beep.
now. We're back. Fantastic display here, actually, from Overtime. Given their performance on Lijiang Tower, they did push back pretty hard on that first map, but they really pushed back hard here on Hollywood. Some fantastic displays. I will say A couple of interesting ultimates. We did kind of highlight the double DPS ultimate into the Graviton Surge around second point. And even as they kind of made their way towards third point, I saw quite a few ultimates getting chucked out there, and it felt like their coordination just wasn't quite where it needed to, and that was why they weren't able to secure themselves that third and final point with over a minute. I believe they were at about a minute and 45 when they lost that second last fight. So unfortunate for them, but they do manage to cap with time in the bank, and that is very, very important. Now as we move over onto their defense, they are going to be going for a double shield defense here. They're going to be running that Sigma and that Orisa. Going to be keeping Ugly Boy Adam on that Pharah. It paid dividends for them on their attack. And now Kit Kat going to be trying to counter go outside on that Ashe, trying to out-snipe him a little bit. But of course, Ugly Boy Adam's going to need to be careful because it's not just the Ashe to contend with. There's little Clumsy on the McCree as well.
Exactly, everybody. I'm going to have a difficult time finding that space potentially. So we'll have to see how the DPS on 2XS keep that Pharah under pressure. Double main tank here, again for 2XS, as I believe you said, but they're struggling to get in. Ugly Boy Adam spamming down range, making it difficult for them to get through, but they do finally do so. And you can see this team is pretty well practiced over time. They're moving the team and let's see, but how does that plan stand up to Dankill's monkey? He gets aggressive on the front line here, but there's a Pharah in the back line getting aggressive onto his DPS, and he finds the counter kill. Ugly Boy Adam onto God's side. Kills going in both directions here, but again it's Cubic coming out with all the kills. This Lucio has been a monster. Maybe you need to put more attention into killing him, or he's going to be the one that kills your whole team. You got like 4 kills in this team fight. It's not over yet though. The resurrection comes out, and they don't have much to deal with him. Peach gonna go down here. The only thing that can actually deal with him, you'd have to think, but of course the attacker spawn advantage gonna pay dividends here as they manage to reform on the point, but there is respawns coming in from overtime. But with Ugly Boy Adam going down, I think that's gonna spell the end of this team fight for overtime.
Cubic is one of the scariest Lucios I've seen outside of like contenders in a very long time. He's channeling his inner FD god here. We got a Reddit Lucio on our hands, boys. He's doing some fantastic work, getting some amazing kills. Actually manages to kill Ugly Boy Adam on Pharah twice. Now however, Ugly Boy Adam's gonna be swapping over onto that Torbjorn. They're gonna be taking a nice high kind of tree defense here up on that high ground and trying to nice some space. But we've got a lot of ultimates online here for 2XS. They are looking so good to push this card through to the second point.
Really nice play from 2XS here, using the cover against the high ground here. Over time, gonna have to move around a little bit if they're actually gonna contest this point, and a lot of space being gained here for 2XS as Dankill now gets aggressive onto the high ground. He's trying to track this Mercy down. That's a big anti-heal onto Kit Kat. Can they finish off the Ashe? No, they can't, but Most Armor does hit the deck. 2 kills going the way of overtime, though, but a return in the form of Mispo's Baptiste. So quite a bit of healing missing on the side of overtime, and 2XS gonna be hard pressed not to win this team fight out. They commit the sound barrier here. That's pretty good to see, and Dankill finds a pick onto Shaito, but this Bob is making such a difference in the backline as Kit Kat picks Paleo off, but Dankill on this monkey, he's been a real difference maker in these team fights, especially when they're long and drawn out like this. And it looks like at the end of all the carnage, 2XS are going to start getting the cart moving once again.
And with a lot of time in their bank as well. Slowly moving over onto second point here, but it looks like overtime going for that recontest to try and stop the card in its tracks. They do lose their support though. That does not bode well for this defense, but they are just trying to burn time off the clock, son.
They are, and they're committing ultimates here for 2XS as well, so maybe a little more to it for overtime. A lot to gain. Kit Kat on the point does get a kill, so maybe there's something in it for overtime, but I think all the kills, you see, they committed the Deadeye and the Shadow Nori, so maybe a bit bigger brain than we were giving them credit for. Oh, Sam? Okay, I think we've lost Sam again.
It does force out a couple of ultimates and something you need to do to give yourself a little bit of a leg up thing for. Oh man, not a.
Now, we can hear you, but you quite delayed. So let's.
Oh, my ping's coming down. My ping's coming down.
Okay,
We good.
Okay, cool.
We back, boys. Second point.
Break it down for me.
Break it down. What I mean. That's an early pick-off, going to be leading into a fight very soon. Little Clumsy swapping over onto the Hanzo here for some extra damage, but here's that fight. The Bob's going to come out. Nice little space denial, though, from Ugly.
You know, we spoke about momentum for the side of overtime on their attack, but this is what real momentum looks like. 2XS have looked unstoppable on their attack so far. They haven't seemed to have lost a team fight, and they might just secure the 3rd-point cap on Hollywood with 3.5 minutes left on the clock. Can they get in and touch? Yes, it does look like overtime have some stall coming in. Ugly on that Doom is going to be difficult to deal with, but there's quite a few numbers on the side of 2XS, but Shaito commits to Gravitic Flux, and he does find that pick onto Little Clumsy, and 2XS at the sight of that, they're just gonna back on out here and think about approaching the next team fight.
Very interesting Gravitic Flux there, aimed specifically at the high ground, intended to take down Little Clumsy. One person, the solo old dream there. But Overtime don't have much in their bank here for this next fight. In fact, they got close to nothing. That being said, 2XS not looking too great. They will, however, have a sound barrier, and that could be exactly what they need to sustain them through this next fight and get them through the 3rd point.
Absolutely, it could. Yeah, aggressive play from Dankill. What more do you expect from the monkey main? He finds the pick onto Mispo. Little Clumsy, though, contributing as well. The DPS and the tanks working well, using the space they're creating for each other. And 2XS are going to push their way on through to a 3rd-point cap. Not quite 3.5 minutes, 3 minutes and 15 seconds instead. But they're going to be very happy with that.
That is a fantastic time bank. Now, Overtime will still get a minute to push. So they are quite lucky in that regard because they were able to cap that 3rd point with still time on the clock. They are going to have about a minute to fight. And this is going to be their first. Well, they are going to attack. It's not going to be their first. They will be attacking first round. And with only 1 minute to try and make some, it's not a fantastic time bank. I'm curious to see exactly what composition they're going to choose to. And it looks like they're going to be going for that May Reaper. They might decide to swap that up a little bit later. For the moment, I'll take a look at this defense. 2XS, well, what can I say? Reinhardt Winston, the magic duo, does seem to do the trick for them. And then the McCree with the Hanzo this time. The Hanzo did work out fairly well for them the last time. That's a lot of spam damage. You can really do so much with that. The mobility as well, you add all of that together, you got yourself a powerhouse. So I think they might be expecting that Pharah as well. Go outside there on that McCree, as I mentioned before. And as time ticks down, we might just be stabilizing on this May instead of the Pharah.
Yeah, surprised to see that. I agree with you. The Pharah seem to be a big difference maker. You know, the can opener, opening the can that is 2XS and, you know, exposing the squishy insides for the rest of the team to take advantage of. But they've decided that they're going to use this May instead, feeling like it's going to be more valuable on this occasion. Remember, they only have a minute and it's ticking down so quickly. But that wall might actually be a good enough reason to justify picking the May. They don't find the pick, though. In fact, Mosama going to go to that fight was pretty quick, Nori, so they might have time for overtime to come in once more.
That was a very quick fight. There was a great wall there to try and wall off the enemy team, give themselves a second of respite. But as you said, we're ticking down, about 10 seconds left to try and make something happen. No ultimates on the board here, no Hail Marys available to them. They're just going to have to run straight onto point and hope they can get some picks.
Again, a good wall cutting the tanks off, but they haven't been able to find any picks. A good anti-heal from Peach going to come in the other direction. So it's going to be up to overtime to find the picks. They're not doing so far. Paleo with the shadow finds one. Shaita with one in the back line, but it's not nearly as good as Dankill with that primal rage once again finds himself a double, make that a triple as Ugly Boy Adam hits the deck. And that means 2XS can't lose this map, Nori.
Well, they absolutely can't. And I think what really wasn't taken into consideration was that immortality field. And Cubic always had that one ready. As soon as that wall came up, the immortality field came down, and there was just no way that the tank could get taken out. I mean, they were just protected. And for some reason, nobody shot. You always hear in your comp games, you know, shoot lamp, shoot lamp, shoot lamp. Nobody shot lamp. So lamp stuck around, and so did those main tanks. Made it very difficult for overtime to try and make any sort of headway. And now the best that overtime can hope for is a draw. And with a 3 minutes and 14 second time bank, I'm not too sure how likely that's going to be.
Yeah.
Looks like 2XS is going to be opting for potentially Widowmaker. Not sure if they're going to stick with that one, but the defense from overtime, they're going to be running the exact same composition that they ran on the offense. And again, that can provide some fantastic walls, but they do need to just be careful about how they place them and always be on the lookout for something like an immortality field. And of course, you and I, we got the insider information. There isn't a Batiste on the enemy team, but it is something for Adam to really be thinking about as he, locks into this hero. 2XS with about 5 seconds left on the clock, and it looks like, yes, these are the heroes that they are going to be committing to. Genji Widowmaker, you love to see it.
You love to see it. 2016 Overwatch, our season 1. We haven't seen this in so many years, but we've seen 2XS do amazing things with the Genji, the Monkey, the Ana, and the Reinhardt. No Ana this time, so Paleo not going to get the nano boost he's been so used to. See how they respond. Dankill getting aggressive here. A nice jump straight through with the damage boost on him. Little Clumsy putting in a ton of damage. Dankill as well. And Paleo going to find that first pick, make that a second as well. KitKat finally deals with the Winston in the back line. In fact, both tanks going down, but they've lost so much on the side of overtime, and they haven't even dealt with the Widowmaker yet. It's just taking pot shots at them from across the map. The Shadow comes out. It doesn't find anything, but he gets the pick with his Fire Strike instead. And Bubbles going down, and a celebration ultimate here. Gonna make sure that 2XS secures themselves a map win on Hollywood.
Oh, fantastic display from 2XS. Such a strong offense there. And what I will say is that there was a misplaced wall from Ugly Boy Adam, which was very unfortunate. The wall came up, but of course they were running a divey composition, so the Winston was able to just kind of dive over it.
Yeah, exactly.
And everyone else could just walk around it. I mean, it takes a little bit longer, but you can just walk around it. So unfortunately, the Maywall's not quite getting the value that he would have wanted to get on that defense. But a very strong display from overtime. Definitely a step up from what we saw on Lijiang Tower. I think that these guys are definitely making steps in the right direction. I'm curious to see what they're going to bring for us as we move over on to the next map. Could this be the one where they turn it around and actually bring us a map win?
Could be, but we'll have to take a bit of a break before we find that out, no worry. So just to remind you guys, it is 2-0 for 2XS. They have secured themselves a victory, not a victory, sorry. They have secured themselves a spot in the playoffs against most likely to be Rage Quit Odyssey. So not a lot to play here for overtime, but still, they're going to want to take a victory here. They want to put 2XS in their place. 2XS going to want to do the same, but we're going to be heading into a 2-minute break. So we'll see you guys after that. All right, welcome back everybody to this Challenger Division matchup. Overwatch by ATK action. So far, it's been an interesting matchup, but we have seen 2XS get the better of things up until this point. Over time, though, steadily improving. Li Jiang looked fairly one-sided for 2XS, but on Hollywood, they actually managed to finish the map. So over time, with a little bit of work to do here, but you have to think they should. The trajectory, Nori, suggests that they're going to do very well on the next map.
Well, let's wait and see, because our next map, I do believe, is going to be Assault. And that's one of those maps that's somewhat reminiscent of Control, in that, you gotta take control of a point. And it's not just 1 point this time, it's 2 points. Like, if you thought it was hard the first time, now you gotta do. So this could prove difficult, particularly, given what we saw on Lijiang Tower a little bit earlier on. And it might also just depend sort of on which map they are going to be going with. Now, for those that don't know, the options are Paris, Temple of Anubis, and Volskaya Industries. And these are all some fantastic maps. I know that there's quite a little bit of animosity towards Paris and a lot of players. Temple of Anubis has always been a very popular map in terms of the assault types. And then even Volskaya, and it looks like it is going to be Volskaya, so I'll just carry it right on with that one. Also, a lot of potential there. And in fact, Volskaya, a map that I've seen quite a bit recently in the South African Overwatch scene. Absolutely. I think this is the assault map of choice in this particular pool. And again, another one that really does lend itself to dive compositions, but can also favor brawl styles depending on how you choose to play it. We haven't seen a ton of poke this evening at the very least, but that is also a composition that does tend to get quite a lot of value, particularly on defense. If you can really start to utilize those high grounds, create those crossfires, we tend to see a little bit of that double sniper action along with some divey tanks that we might be seeing there. And then, of course, the dive on the offense is quite popular. Again, taking advantage of those high grounds, taking advantage of the flank around the left side towards, the ocean. So there's a lot of potential towards the sea, yes.
So Volskaya, something else to keep in mind is that 2XS did drop this map in their last broadcasted matches. So the last broadcasted match against Calypso. There's a lot of consonants in that phrase. So it makes a lot of sense for Overtime to pick this map, given that 2XS has struggled. And if Overtime has been watching the footage, which I'm sure they have, they've seen how Calypso did it. So again, stacking the deck here in Overtime's favor. Looks like we are about ready to jump into the map here. So Volskaya should be an interesting map to see how things unfold. Also, we have had some substitutions here, but I've just lost access to the lobby screen, so I don't know what they are. So you'll have to wait until we get into game and we can tell you what those are. But so, what are you expecting to see, Hannah? You've spoken a little bit about it, but break it down for me some more.
Well, I think that we're probably going to see 2XS running that brawl that has been kind of working out for them. I will say, however, both of these teams have surprised me in terms of their flexibility. On Lijiang, we saw some proper brawl from 2XS, but as we moved over onto Hollywood, particularly on that last attack, they went for a far more divey composition. Whereas with Overtime, we saw them kind of trying out a divey composition, then we saw them trying out a more brawl-heavy composition. So they really have kind of been swapping it up a little bit and trying to figure out exactly how they want to run their particular offenses and defenses. For now, however, 2XS we're running through on this defense with the Sigma and the Reinhardt. Again, another interesting combination of tanks that you don't see too often. These are both obviously very shield heavy tanks. Reinhardt being a more static shield, and Sigma obviously he's got that projected shield, a little bit like Zarya projects the bubble. He projects that shield, so it can create space, it can deny space, it can do a lot of work. So I can see the interplay, but it is definitely an interesting one. And of course, that double sniper that I spoke about a little bit earlier, probably going to be using that projected shield to try and protect at least one of those snipers up on the high ground. Overtime opting for the McCree May, a little bit more staple, but they are going to need to be weary of the crossfire from these two snipers.
Absolutely, they are. So far doing a good job getting onto point, though. Oh, that's done. Gonna make things difficult for Mispo. He doesn't get, for Paleo. He doesn't end up going down. And in fact, Dankil just with the crackback gets a triple. And with the snipers on the high grounds, it's so hard once they get onto point for Overtime to actually find any space to do damage. You just kind of have to hide from the snipers. And like you mentioned, that crossfire coming into play significantly there.
And of course, Cubic going to be on this Batiste once again. So there's fantastic utilization of the immortality field there, making sure that people aren't going down, protecting the snipers up on the high ground here. Really great interplay there, making it very difficult. Now, I would kind of expect possibly that dive swap from Overtime, but at the moment, they're just going to make a swap onto a Hanzo, get a little bit of extra damage here, and hopefully try and wedge themselves a gap to push through.
Yeah, it's going to be up to Bubbles here, and you see her getting aggressive onto guard side. She's going to have to try and control at least one of the snipers, but I mean, you control one, the other one gets value, and in fact, both getting value here. 3 headshots from the 2 snipers, going to make quick work of Overtime's push here.
And that's the danger of running into that double sniper composition, and it's why you want to kind of go for that dive, because dive is quick execution style. You jump in, you assassinate whatever's presenting the biggest threat, and of course in this case it is those snipers. For the moment, however, again, just gonna continue running through with the composition that they have. They're not really building up ultimates terribly quickly because they are getting taken down so fast. Bubbles close to a self-destruct, but running straight into a gravitic plug.
Yeah, headshots coming out from the snipers again. If you don't deal with guard side, he will find picks. So they need to be careful here. You know, it's funny because Peach said to me their biggest weakness, one of the biggest weaknesses, is a lack of hit scan prowess. So far, guard side has been a standout performer on that Widowmaker. So surprised to see that, to say the least.
I wouldn't say that there's a lack of prowess, particularly in this specific match, but finally Overtime have managed to build up a couple of ultimates here. They do have the Earth Shatter available to them. They're going to have a nano boost as well, which could be just what they need to create that wedge that I was talking about a little bit earlier on.
No.
They just get one pick. Oh, that could be exactly the... Oh, no.
Oh no. Everything happening, everything unfolding. That first pick was a great start, taking down, I'm not sure, I think it was Peach, right at the start of that. But unfortunately, Paleo found an angle, found a perfect shatter, and just cleaned up Overtime with like no stress.
Thankfully, Overtime didn't commit any ultimates into that fight, and now they're going to be coming into this next fight with 5 ultimates available to them, likely going to engage with that sound barrier to kind of beef up their health pools a little bit, because Go Outside has been a monster on this Widowmaker.
Oh, speaking of monsters, the self-destruct landing on top of the lamp. I don't know if you guys called that on stream, but I've never seen that before. Sound barrier committed now, but this is a good fight for Overtime. The Gravitic Flux, though, in return, might find a couple of picks. Little clumsy on the point, needs to be dealt with. He finds Anti-Raver, but he will get taken down in a matter of moments here by Shaito, who picks up his 2nd or 3rd of the team fight. Go Outside, gonna trade his life out in all likelihood, but he does manage to pick off a few kills. But Overtime are gonna cap the point, although Paleo decides he wants to make a little bit of... No, he's not. Okay, he's gonna back out here. That's okay. But he is now out of position, and that means Overtime might be able to just get a quick 2nd cap on point here, although with the new respawns, it's actually not a problem.
It's a nice little late stagger there, but they are choosing to play this a little bit more slowly, waiting for some of their players to come back. They did manage to hold on to 2 of their ultimates, having that Earth Shatter ready, as well as the Dead Iron. Those are some fantastic space creating ultimates, bearing in mind that there are no ults online here for 2XS, but an early pick off onto Soul Eater could really chunk some time out of Overtime's next attack.
Absolutely, it could, but I'm going to push forward now once again. Soul Eater is rejoining the fray here, but he needs to be careful. Go Outside has switched onto this Tracer now, so he might be looking for a flanking angle. And speaking of flanking angles, it's a Cubic. He's on the flank of all of his own here. Ooh, Deadeye comes out here. Can he find anything? Kit Kat on that McCree. He's all by himself in the front, but he finds a double kill. But kills going in both directions here, and it looks like 2XS going to come out on top. That is an ultimate that won't find anything, but they don't end up needing it as 2XS secure themselves another teamfight victory on Volskaya.
They secure that very cleanly, despite Kit Kat getting 2 fantastic Deadeye kills. It just wasn't enough Oh, that's an interesting pause. I wonder if it's pause on disconnect because it wasn't called for yet. There we
Yes.
go.
Yeah,
That
that
is
is
so
pause and
unfortunate
disconnect.
because he still had Earth Shatter.
Oh,
No. Oh man, that
oh.
is the Pepeest of hands. That is super unfortunate. He is going to respawn into this game with 0 ult charge. They're going to be relying
Hmm.
on the last few ultimates that they have available to them. Of course, they've got Bubbles, going to have that self-destruct shortly. Soul Eater is going to have the Dragon Strike very soon. And Mosama, 72% of the way to a Sound Barrier. So some pretty decent ultimates in the bank. And if you take a look over at 2XS, they've only got an Earth Shatter and soon a Primal Rage. God's is about 53% of the way to a Pulse Bomb, but of course you
Hmm.
can build that up very quickly. And if he gets a pick off onto one of the supports, then that's basically GG's for overtime, particularly considering, as I mentioned, they don't have one of their big fight winning ultimates. So they're going to be coming into this next fight heavily on the back foot.
Absolutely. God, it's so unfortunate to lose that ultimate there. And looking at the composition that they're running on the side of 2XS, though, you'd have to feel like it's pretty difficult to get a really super value multi-man Earth Shatter. You know, you're going to have Dankel. You're probably going to have to commit that to deal with one, at most two enemies. You know, try and shut down the Tracer before she getting kills. Try and shut down Dankel when he's in your backline. So, in some ways, if you're going to throw a Shatter away, this is the composition to do it against, but you never want to lose any of your ultimates, of course. But like you say, something to work with both teams with only a minute and a half left on the clock here. Overtime on the back foot, and who knows, they might not even be able to build up another Earth Shatter before the start of the next team fight, or rather, before the end of the map.
Yeah, there's no way they're going to do it before the next team fight.
I don't know.
That would be impressive. Like, you know what? If he does sign him to Owl. Like, if he can do that, he belongs in Owl.
Oh,
But
I don't know.
potentially,
If he can do that, I think he might just be cheating. Because without a Baptiste on your team, I don't think it's even vaguely possible, unless it's
even with,
really drawn out between the team fights. You know.
I mean, even with a Batiste before the next team fight is just not possible because he still has to come
Fine,
back from
fine, you
spawn.
got
Like,
me. Okay, it's not possible. Fine, I get it. So we are just
anyways,
waiting for Shaito to rejoin here. Hopefully his internet issues or whatever the issue is gets resolved. Now, thankfully, we've seen firsthand here that Overtime do have a depth of substitutes here, but one guy who they haven't been substituting out at all is Shaito on that main tank role. So unfortunately, the only role which they appear not to have a stable substitute for, but I'm sure one of their subs can fill in if need be. But fingers crossed that doesn't need to happen. So just to remind you guys of the stakes here, though, 2XS have to have won this one to go through. No, I'm lying. I'm not even thinking. Okay, Overtime needs to take a 3-0 victory here to secure themselves a spot in the playoffs where they will face off against Odyssey. Now, unfortunately, as you guys can see, the scoreline sits at 2-0 for 2XS. So that means 2XS have secured themselves a spot in the playoffs. That'll happen on Sunday, brought to you by Altruism and Blur, our classic Sunday casting duo. That should be a lot of fun. Odyssey, of course, favored in that matchup, but 2XS gonna be happy to have the opportunity to try and secure themselves a spot in the elite division. Now, that does leave Overtime in the challenger division, but with Leyden dropping down and of course the disbanding of AGD Eclipse, there is a bit of a power vacuum in challenger division, in fact. So we're going to be looking to teams like 2XS, and we're expecting Leyden to top out the challenger division next stage. But below that, there's quite a lot to fight for still.
absolutely. I feel like there's definitely an opportunity to, well, more than anything else, it's that bragging rights. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Teams definitely want that, but of course, this isn't the end of the line. There will always be more tournaments and more opportunities. So even if you're not really getting those top placements that you want to get right now, it is of course still more practice to help you possibly get that little bit of an edge later on in more upcoming tournaments. But Shaito back in the game at last, and it looks like we are going to be jumping in just a moment. Hallelujah. Thankfully, they do manage to get him back in. It would have been very awkward if they weren't able to at all, but he is going to be jumping back into the game here. Now, again, just want to stress for everybody, Overtime, 3 ultimates available to them. Probably going to try to use that sound barrier in the next fight if they can build it up. 2XS have the Earth Shatter and a Primal Rage ready to go. Those are some pretty big ultimates, and if they can capitalize on them, then it's going to create a lot of space and burn a little bit extra time off the clock here. Bubbles is really going to be looking to create space with this self-destruct and give his team or her team the opportunity to get onto point here.
I think this is Lady Bubbles. Guy Bubbles is not on a team, or he's on a team that hasn't played any matches yet. So
Okay.
I believe it's Lady Bubbles as overtime
Bubbles.
move their way forward. Too many of Bubbles. Ooh, the Shadow comes through, finds a couple in the backline. Somebody somehow works his way through Shaito's shield, and that a perfect follow-up from 2XS is going to secure them a team fight victory. Thankfully though, a quick one. Shaito has managed to build up half of his ultimate here.
That was a bit of a 180 shatter there, and it got so much value, managing to win
no,
them
the
that
demon,
fight.
bro.
Of course, only used the 1 ultimate. Yeah, it's a little unfortunate there. It looks like Bubbles is going to jump off the map. Yeah. We jump off the map, we go again. Try and get that mech back because there is no time to waste here. 20 seconds left on the clock. Overtime to try and make something happen. Bubbles does have boosters available, so we'll be able to have the boosters available for the engage. Down to 10 seconds left. Can they make something happen? It's do or die.
And they're playing into a monkey with ulti, and that is gonna likely secure it. Go outside with a perfect pulse bomb, finds 2, and Cubic gonna clean up. Bubbles does get a return here with the self-destruct, but with the spawn advantage, Cubic gonna punch her before she gets back in her mech. He picks up a 4th or a 3rd or whatever. I can't keep track of what this Lucio is doing. My brain can't handle it. Nori, break down what we just saw, because that was 2XS stamping their authority on Volskaya.
2XS, I mean, I kind of spoke about Tracer getting that pulse bomb just before, like, as the pause happened.
Yeah.
I really didn't think that he'd be able to get the value of taking down 2 supports, but he did manage to do it, and that is massive with absolutely no healers available to you, knowing that the enemy team has spawn advantage. Even if you can get a few pickoffs, Bubbles finally managed to make it back from spawn, yeets that self-destruct into the enemy team, manages to take out the Reinhardt and the Anna, but it just wasn't enough because spawn advantage coupled with having no healers of their own meant that there was no way they were going to be able to turn that fight around. A little bit unfortunate. And of course, Bubbles not being with the team meant that she wasn't able to even try to eat the pulse bomb before it got that 2-man value. So really just a massively unfortunate situation for Bubbles to have been demeked towards the end of that last fight. Now,
and in many ways,
sides, and this is it. I mean, if overtime can't take 2 points here, if they can't win out this map, then that unfortunately will end their run this evening. So they're really going to be wanting to put up a massive fight.
In many ways, Godside set up his own pulse bomb there because it was he who demeked Bubbles at the end of that last fight. So that gave him the space to use that. But that was last round. This is this round. 2XS coming in with that double main tank composition. They are fighting on into a Torbjorn though, and it's a pretty decent crossfire setup. In fact, it's totally split the composition for overtime here. 3 on one side, 3 on the other side. Let's see how 2XS deal with this. So far, they're just chilling. Okay, now what interesting decision here. They've not split, they've now come back together, and Dankel's just gonna move in here onto the Sigma. Not gonna find anything just yet. Paleo moving back onto point. Can they get a tick here? At least Cubic finds the kill. They boop onto Anti-Raver, and that is a huge deal. No healing left now, or very little at least, on the side of overtime. Let's go outside, gets a double on that Junkrat, and can they clean up? It's just Kid. He slipped, pushed onto the high ground. He's just gonna take a nap as they catch the point. Cubic gonna get up there and do what he does best and make sure Kit Kat doesn't get any value out of this team fight, and 2XS secure themselves a team fight win with their first attempt.
Nice rotations there, nice little push onto point from 2XS, taking very good advantage of these, of their positioning overall, and unfortunately they forced overtime to have to rotate around into an unfavorable position. Now we move over onto second point. Ultimate very close see over 2xs, we do see overtime making
Huge
swap ups
shadow.
here. And they're gonna try and build up those ultimates with not a lot of time to do so.
Well, guys, while the warrior was making her point, the game ended. 2xs perfectly in control of things here. One fight to cap first point, one fight to cap second point, and Dankill going to be picking himself up the play of the game, the stand-up performer on this Winston, it has to be said. But standouts for both teams here. At the end of the day, though, 2xs, as predicted, do take a 3-0 victory here, really looking the better of the three teams today and looking much cleaner, in fact, than they did against Calypso. So I'm very impressed by 2xs and their rise in the South African Overwatch division. And Neon gonna have to, or Overtime as they are now called, of course, gonna have to go back to the books here a little bit, but of course they will be in Challenger Division next season and they have a good chance to actually move themselves up the ladder, as I said, only two teams dropping down from the Elite Division. So lots to play for here going forward, of course, and as Naori mentioned earlier, there will be lots of tournaments to play in. It's not all over just yet, but really nice work from 2xs, really impressive. But before we do anything more, we have to decide on a player of a match. So hopefully Naori is here so that she can do that, because that's like, it's like the hardest part. So you can jump back in there, Naori, and go for it.
It's probably my least favorite part of
Right?
the
That's why
of
I
any
make
match.
the analysts do it, because it's hard.
Yeah, thanks. You know, we hate you too. I gotta say, I kind of want to give it to Cubic. He performed
Okay.
out of his mind on both the Lucio and the Batiste, whether he was redditing around and sniping Pharaohs out of the sky or utilizing some fantastic immortality fields to make sure that his tank line was always alive. He was doing a lot of work on that support role, and I really just got to shout him out for that one. It went really, really well there, especially boy Adam, particularly on Hollywood. That Farah was disgusting, but unfortunately came up second best to the Frog Boy.
Unfortunately, not something you see a lot. Special shout out from my side to Go Outside. His hitscan performance is quite impressive. Little Comes is always good in the Genji, but for me, Dankill was someone who really stepped up today and made his name known to the South African Overwatch scene. That Winston was such a nuisance in the back line, so really nice to see him getting the value out of that hero in a strange composition, it has to be said. But it will be Cubic who is our man of the match, the Lucio Master. So let's see if we can get him in for an interview here. Is that him? Yes, it is. So let's drop down and get Cubic's thoughts on the match. Hello, Mr. Cubic. Welcome.
Hello.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, first of all, congrats not only on winning the map, but also for securing your spot in the playoffs here. You guys will be facing off against Rage Quit Odyssey. So how are you feeling going into that match? Do you know anything about the team, and are you excited to show what you've got against them?
I don't know that much about the team, but I know that we can put up a fight, and we're working on it, strats and shit.
Cool, no worries.
Okay. How are you feeling coming into this match? We kind of heard from Peach that you guys were feeling pretty confident, but is that accurate, or was Peach just kind of blustering about? Bruh, do not throw me any
Sounds
more
like
questions.
Peach.
My internet is dead.
Okay. Will do.
Sounds like Peach. No, we were actually very confident about the match today. We scrimmed up against them before, and we were doing very well. And we picked up on what we could counter and what we can do against them in general.
Okay.
I wasn't much there for the scrims, but the others were.
Okay. Well, it definitely showed today. You looked the more comfortable of the two teams. So I believe you had a coaching role in this team before you joined. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, a bit, not that much, but I've been involved with Peach a lot. So in general, I help the players out.
Okay, so talk to us a little bit about your standard composition, the Winston Reinhardt. That's not something we see a lot, and I think it was Little Clumsy you said it just favors your hero player combinations a lot better. Is that true, or can you give us a little more insight from your side?
In generally, we were looking at the comp that would work as a comp and for our team. We have Josh on our team, which is a very shift-happy Reinhardt. one pick, basically. If you haven't
This is
noticed.
paleo, huh?
Yeah, paleo.
Okay.
So, but we was thinking like Yosh, as aggressive he is, we can use that in our advantage to the enemies and surprise them. And to help him out, we have the Winston that's going on the back line, and just with the rest with me on Lucio, I'm supporting them, and then Peach and Yosh literally just stands in front of people and just say, "Hey, shoot us!" and we kill everyone else.
Yeah, and you did quite a bit of killing yourself on that Lucio. That's a big part of why we actually chose you for man of the match here. But before we sign off, last question from my side. You've played Overtime quite a bit here, or Neon Retribution as they were known. Any advice to them based on what you saw coming out of them in this match today?
Try to switch it up a bit, because they went with the Symmetra teleport so many times. It was, after a while, it's like, oh, the Symmetra is coming, we're going here, we're going here. And in general, when they played a team comp, they didn't switch that much. They played pretty much the same heroes. And then after a while, you pick up where you can go in, and then you can punish them.
Yeah.
So after a while, when you fail an attack, for example, and then you see, oh, we don't have enough damage, you might change off to another DPS that have an easier time against like a Winston.
Okay, so a very common criticism of teams, as I'm sure Naori can attest to. But that about does it here from our side for the Overwatch action this evening. ATK by Overwatch 2xs with the 3-0 victory over Overtime, secure themselves a playoff match on Sunday against Rage Quit Odyssey for a spot in the Elite Division. Guys, that's going to be a banger. Before I sign off for good, though, Cubic, if you want to keep up with you and the rest of 2XS, where can we find you on the internet?
2XS, pretty much on Twitter, I think. Peach is, you have control of basically all of that. So.
Okay. And do you have a Twitter
on Twitter,
account?
I think is usually. I do have one. I'm not that much on it, but I'm Cubic on Twitter, and I stream sometimes.
Okay.
So if you want to check me out,
what is your Twitch?
Cubic,
With the
obviously.
Q.
Yeah, not like
You
last
never
time.
know.
You have QUB, not the misspell from last time we played.
Okay, sure. So yeah, check out Cubic, check out 2xs Esports, as Peach is very aggressively reminding of us all the time. Check them out.
Yeah.
Of course, my name has been Sun Phoenix at Sun Phoenix on Twitter. Tweet about things, mostly video games, mostly Overwatch stuff. I'm gonna shout Naori out here. She's having ping issues today, so we don't want any more slow robot-y Nori coming through. So that's at Nori Mizuki everywhere she is. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all the places. If she's not there, you won't find her. We have defect on our production today. We had a few hiccups early on, and of course, we had the lag issues on Hori, but that's not anything we can do anything about. But shout out to Defect for coming through in very short notice and doing a good job on the broadcast once again. Give him some love in the chat, please. It's scary doing production. It's difficult, but I think he did a good job today. So that's at Defect on Twitter, at DefectZA, something along those lines. _ZA on Twitter. He has a Twitch stream as well, which is at defect _ZA on Twitch as well, I assume. And yeah, that's where you can find him. And then, of course, at ATK Arena on Twitter is where you can keep up to date with all the Overwatch by ATK action, Challenger Division, Elite Division, any matches that are coming up. That's where you can find it. And for all your Overwatch, South African Overwatch action in general, at Competitive Overwatch South Africa, at ZA Overwatch on Twitter. And of course, head over to the Cows Discord to keep up to date and get involved with lots of community stuff. We've got lots of stuff going on, some Pride Month stuff happening. So if you want to be involved, head over there and get involved. That's all from me. Tune in on Sunday for 2xs versus Rage Quit Odyssey. That should be a lot of fun, and we'll see you guys there.